Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about tactical marines or Gabriel's Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a Three Grots special. We are live. Hello, Mark. Hello, Tony. Can everyone hear us? Can you guys talk?
Hello. Am I allowed to swear yet?
Not within the first minute of the video. I mean, did you swear in the disclaimer?
No. But
okay. So one more minute and then you can get to swearing, right? I mean,
you've got to finish your first beer and then you're allowed to swear.
Good evening. Hello, everybody.
Shit.
How is everybody tonight? There we go. I see people coming in. We get 10 live viewers, so that's cool.
Woohoo. Hello, everybody. It feels like it's been forever.
Really?
It's
forever?
It's been 4 weeks for you, hasn't it, Mark?
Yeah. Since I went on
Because
holiday.
you're a wanker.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you want to call it that. I mean, I had a great time. I don't care. I even taught a bunch of people how to play Star Wars Imperial Assault, so that was good.
If anybody hasn't realised, I've just sworn that on purpose because John told me I'm not allowed to swear within the first minute of the video.
I even visited you on my way to go on holiday.
You absolutely did.
Yeah.
And it was a very nice visit too.
Yeah. Okay. You say so.
I wasn't joking. It was the truth.
Awesome. Thank you. John looks like he's been hit in the face with an axe.
Yeah, I'm...
because I said wanker within the first 45 seconds.
We got a few people in the house. We got 15 viewers. Alunda, Mike's here. Matthew, Exo, Balanced Hydra, Chrono saying a lot of people here. If you do enjoy our content, please consider dropping us a like or giving us a follow.
All the usual stuff.
Yeah. And if you want to get a t-shirt like Tony, then just ask him where he got it.
Where did you get it from, Tony?
I don't know. I googled place on the internet where they make t-shirts and you send them a picture and then I stamped the picture. It really wasn't much more complicated than that one. There wasn't a lot of thought that went into this.
So when they allow us to,
let's see if we can get away with this.
We will indeed do a merch shop full of stuff that you can buy taking the piss out of John, like I don't know, BAC socks or something.
I mean, if we're doing my face on a t-shirt, then I mean we need your faces on t-shirts too. I mean that's only fair.
No, nobody needs that. Nobody needs that.
Okay, so yeah, tonight we're going to be talking 10th edition. I guess we'll be taking questions from chat. And there is literally a million Warhammer community articles out on 10th edition at this point. So we will. There's
less than a million, isn't it? Let's be honest.
There's actually 9. There's more than that, but they've all got like pictures of models and no actual interesting stuff on there. What do you think of the new NID?
I love it.
It's like a mini Lictor, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's wicked. I think it's really cool. Genuinely think it's really cool.
Terminator looks cool. I mean, it's a really, really good Terminator, but...
Yeah, I actually really like the Terminator Librarian. I think he was really cool. Yes, so, okay, there's 9 articles. It feels like a million.
There'll be another one tomorrow.
And
I've had an idea, right?
Yes,
you know
go
this
for it.
like we're not allowed to swear thing?
Yeah.
Right? Well, can we at the end, because we haven't really got a good end screen, can we put something up that's like that?
What?
Is it coming backwards?
No, I can see it.
You next Thursday.
I mean,
we can if you really want to.
You can make it look a little bit more professional, sure. But yes, we could do see you next Thursday.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfectly legitimate statement, and we are on Thursdays.
Yes, we are. We are every second Thursday.
And nobody can complain about that.
Okay. So what about...
I haven't said see you next Tuesday.
I was going to say...
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody would get that or if it would go over somebody's head. That's quite amusing.
It's going to go over somebody's head.
No, almost certainly. We did offer the opportunity to people who are members of the Three Grots Patreon to pose some questions to us that we will absolutely answer during the stream. And some of you have done that, which is awesome. Thank you very much. We will be answering those once we've gotten started and all the stuff. largely because Tony has been preoccupied with family-related things and hasn't got a bloody clue what's going on with the
I'm not
10th
close.
edition at
I'm
the moment.
literally no idea. This is it's so like little free time at the moment that I'm actually building a Vindicator while we talk. And important notice, beer of the day. I've got Stormtrooper Pale Ale.
Ooh,
I've
I
seen
was
that
going to save
before.
it for another Star Wars.
John, have you seen the Mando finale yet?
No, I wanted to watch that today, but didn't get around to it. Tomorrow.
I heard the last season of Mando shit. Is it actually shit, or is it?
Bits of it weren't great, but overall it was quite cool.
Yeah,
It was fun.
They have. I did hear that as well. I don't. People are too opinionated when it comes to TV shows.
I haven't watched the first season yet, so
People are
I
opinionated.
don't have a horse in this race.
If anybody says anything about Picard finale spoilers, I will boot you from the chat without a moment's hesitation because I don't get to watch it till tomorrow.
Yeah, it came out in America last night, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so no spoilers about Picard in the chat, please. I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, so I'm an episode behind. Anyway, so 10th edition is coming, Tony, and there is
Really?
there is a million articles out.
Yeah, if you count all of the Bella Lost Souls articles, all the Allspec Tactics videos, and all the frontline.
I bet Spiky Bits has done a few.
Oh,
yes.
just a few, yeah.
Then what we know is that I've created a slide sheet with like 12 of the most important articles. The first one is about codexes, and that your codexes will be ready to be recycled.
Yes. Yes. Did you know that the plural of codex is in fact codices?
Codices, yes. And also your data cards will also be ready for recycled. Unless for some reason you still want to play 9th edition, I guess.
Yeah, which you could do, I suppose. But no, I'll be throwing mine in the bin pretty quickly. Quite happily.
Will you?
Yeah.
What? You
Why
codex
don't
as
I
well?
keep the
Or?
old data cards?
Oh, just the data cards.
I like to keep things like neat. Occasionally, there is like source books where the lore is interested in keeping around, but generally speaking, I don't want to have like rows and rows and rows and archives of old codices kicking around. I know some people like that stuff, but it's not.
Yeah, I've never thrown a codex away. I've got every codex I've ever had, I think, more or less, apart from ones that I've sold. Because some of the old, especially like the 2nd edition ones, are now really valuable.
I've taken some of the old chapter approved in after they started going every 6 months to Games Workshop and saying, "Here, you recycle."
Yeah, I don't count them because there's no fluff in it.
Yeah,
it's fair.
If there was fluff, then I'd never sell something with fluff on art and that.
So that does raise an interesting question. So they've said in 10th edition, the rules are going to be digital. You're going to be able to download your data sheets. You're going to be able to buy cards. So basically, every unit will be a card. I think we covered them last time on the podcast in terms of we looked at some of the cards.
This mirrors how it is on Age of Sigmar, where the core rules are available for free. All the data sheets are available for free. You can buy the data sheets on cards if you want to, just to have them handy and convenient.
But they haven't said if we still have to buy a chapter-approved 6-monthly book in as many words yet.
Almost certainly.
I'm sure they'd like us to, yeah. If they're continuing doing that with Age of Sigmar, there's no reason why they'd stop doing it for 40k.
Are they doing it for Age of Sigmar? I'm not familiar with Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did it with Age of Sigmar before they did it with 40k.
Yeah, it's about the same sort of time.
Was it?
When they went through a 6-month cycle, anyway.
So,
yeah, they do a general handbook with Age of Sigmar where they like say, and this 6 months we're fighting in this area of the world, and these are all the special rules we're doing, and infantry get a bonus against fighting characters, and next chapter, general handbook, they swap it over, and characters get a bonus fighting against infantry, and they sort of mix things up.
Yeah.
Benno says, I guess they realised PD isn't going away, so they may as well do rules.
I mean that's reasonably likely.
Mike's watching the snooker as well, I noticed, and I can't blame him.
Why? Is it interesting?
Snooker's brilliant to watch. It's like the best sport on TV.
It's brilliant to play. I wouldn't say it was fun to watch, really.
It's addictive. You start watching it, then you can't stop.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Anything else to say about codexes then?
At the Crucible, wasn't there? Someone like jumping around on the tables and stuff.
If every single codex is going to be available day one for everybody for free, what is to stop anybody playing whatever army you want? There's going to be no barrier to entry except the models.
Yeah. And also, I suppose as a Marine faction, you could play anything you want. I do worry that we're going to have the same thing. I think Tony mentioned it last time, where like as a Sisters of Battle player, you would just always be like, well, I'll go Bloody Rose because they're the best. And I hope that with Marines it isn't that, where it's like, well, I'll go Oath of Moment because they're the best.
That is the one major unanswered question so far with 10th Ed, and that question is, what is the deal with sub-factions? Because so far, that is completely unanswered and we've got no idea what's going on with them.
Matthew says the general handbooks are ring-bound. What does that mean? You can swap out some of the pages?
No.
Not so much that, but it does mean
they don't have a hard binding. Like they're not glued into.
Oh, right, like the painting guide book. I'm with you.
Yeah, so it's ring bound down the side.
Wasn't chapter approved like that for a hot minute?
The very first one was.
Yeah,
and I loved it, and then they stopped doing it, and I don't know why, but they kept on doing it for Age of Sigmar.
It's better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because you always end up trying to fold out the books to stay on a page anyway, and you ruin the book. So why would you not?
It's ring bound, and it's hardback as well. And you got this nice little summary thing on the back with all the reference stuff. It's brilliant.
I really like it. I really rate them.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay, so all codexes. That's your first slide, Tony.
Okay.
Your second slide is about how you build armies.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I will not click on the link.
So each slide is a link to the article.
Yes, so you can see the article.
You just had the articles up and then just flip between them as like tabs.
I could have. I started making slides and then realized I was copying and pasting a huge amount of work, so I just went.
Couldn't be asked.
I would have missed something if I copy and pasted and taken just like the snippets. So,
hey, Foz.
Are you familiar with mustering your army in 10th edition, or do you need us to cover it?
Am I familiar with mustering my army?
Yes.
What the changes are? Shock horror. It's like Age of Sigmar now.
Let's go into it then, shall we?
Yeah, go into it because I whilst I have been sort of vaguely paying attention, I'm running on about.
So unit rolls are completely gone. Unit rolls are not a thing anymore. There's no elite, there's no heavies, there's no fast, there's no HQ, none of that. There's a unit and there's a character, basically. Well, there's just a unit. There is, however, battle line. Battle line is kind of like troops, sort of.
There's epic hero.
But the way it works in Age of Sigmar is what's battle line changes based on what detachment you're doing and right. So on. So maybe they could do loads of different detachments that will change how your army will work. There could be a detachment in which Dante is your warlord and Sanguinary Guard are battle line. So
I suppose you could have some fun with that as well, and they could say things like, if you're playing Chaos and you bring a Demon Prince as your commander, then demons become battle line, and if you bring a Space Marine, a Chaos Space Marine character, then Chaos Space Marines become battle line. And it flips around.
I wouldn't expect to see that in the free indices.
No,
but I would expect to see that sort of thing when they actually go and do codices properly and start releasing them.
Quite a nice thing. And I've got to answer Mike's question. Mike wants to know who I rate for the championship. Wilson impressed me with that bonkers break the other day.
Okay. I'm going to start drinking now.
Because I'm talking about snooker.
Yeah,
I'm equal opportunities. I'll watch any sport that's on the telly.
Interestingly, if you think about Space Marine First Company, I suppose there could be a detachment in the future that is around First Company where Terminators become battle line.
Theoretically.
Foz says he's concerned about mustering. What are you concerned about, Foz?
The only thing I will say though is, haven't they said somewhere that Terminators only get OC season 1, whereas like troops get OC season 3 or something? So does that imply that
season? What?
I was taking the piss of the new objective control stat.
Yeah.
And I've decided that now I'm going to name it after the OC.
Right. Okay. That took a moment
I think
that, but all right.
In some ways it makes troops a lot weaker, right? Because think about it this way, right? You have 5 Terminators. I have 5 Terminators. You have 5, let's just say, Assault Intercessors. So let's say you control that objective by default, because you're gonna have to put all 5 of your models on that objective as well. If you daisy chain like 2 of them into the objective and 2 of them into cover, then you only have OC4, right? So the second
we know that
the OC season 4 was shite.
We know that Terminators have got OC1. So a single Terminator model counts as 1 for the purposes of controlling objectives, whereas an intercessor counts as 2. So 1 intercessor is the same as 2 terminators for the purposes of controlling an objective.
Sure, but I think it makes a big change, because before you could daisy chain just 1 objective controlled guy onto an objective, and then you would flip it if you were obsec. Whereas now, if you only put 1, you have to have all 5 on the objective potentially. And if you ever make a charge, let's imagine I have 5 Sangre Guard and I charge your 5 intercessors. I just need to kill like 3 of them, right? Because then you just have 2 left. That's OC4. I still have all 5 Sangre Guard. That's me on OC5.
Yeah,
so it actually makes the
more people you've got on an objective, the more likely you are to hold it. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it also makes
I like
troops
because there's now
less
going to be a
value.
benefit to having high objective control stats.
Yeah,
but also small models.
Whereas an expectant armature, for example, will probably have OC5.
Well, I think didn't they say rhinos have got 3?
Rhinos have got 2. They said Rhinos have got 2, so you can like charge like 2 models on a thing, and maybe do one and still have the objective at the end of it.
Yeah,
okay.
But I can just see that meaning that there's a place now for troops because they've got small bases, they're physically small models, and they count as a lot. If you pile a big wad, big units of like 10 intercessors or tactical marines, something blocked on an objective, to physically squeeze enough of your units in there, let's say you are playing with armatures or something, will be really difficult to steal it off of them. So that gives a place for big units of high OC units.
OC, there's something that comes into that. OC, I think, might go down with degrading stats, or it might not, but OC definitely goes away if you're broken in morale terms. If you fairly morale check, then your OC stat is 0 for the time that you're broken.
Yeah, which basically means, if I'm correct here, you'll always need to hold objectives with 2 models, like 2 units essentially. Because if, like, it said that like if a character went less than half wounds, he has to take an OC test. Did it say if a vehicle went less than half wounds?
Test. Yeah. Okay.
So if your repulsor goes down to 8 wounds, does it have to take the OC test?
Leadership test. Yes.
Yes.
Not OC.
You don't call it an OC test. Okay, but so that would be interesting. So basically, you're going to have to hold objectives with 2, because then you can never
want them to be safe and
comfortably hold objectives with 1 anymore, unless Marines keep sticky objectives, but I don't think they will.
It's possible they might do. Foz's concern about mustering is, I'm concerned about the lack of diversity and flavour until a codex gets released. Will a Harlequin player need to wait until the Eldari codex gets released to play their army? Well, I'd be shocked if that was the case.
I suspect that they will have rules in the index.
Everything that's an army now,
the rules will be pretty bland and
yes,
whatnot.
Well, they'll be bland across the board. Everybody will be equally bland and equally.
So unless you're a Space Marine player, at which point you'll have your codex within the first month or 2,
and Tyranids,
and Tyranids, then you're going to be waiting probably some time before you get your codex. I suspect.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay, so so basically, when you're mustering your army, then Tony, you're going to need 1 character. You can have maximum 1 of each epic hero, so that means you can have
a named character.
Like,
do we know that epic hero is only named characters, or because of that picture, of course, is Killerman?
Yeah.
So is it just named characters, or is it just big characters? Maybe
it's anything that would be classed as unique, like a named character.
So, like for example, a Hive Tyrant is not an epic character.
The avatar is technically not a named character, but you're only having 1 avatar. That sort of thing.
So hold on, can you take Dante and Mephiston, or is that not allowed now?
Yeah, you can. You just can't take more than 1 of the same.
Oh yeah, it does say of each hero.
All right, okay, cool. And then you can take 3 of the same data sheet for like your typical. So technically, like, if you don't care about OC, as a Blood Angels player, I guess you could go 3 squads of Sangre Guard, 3 squads of Death Company, 3 squads of Vanguard Vets, and that's your army.
And just go kill all the things and not claiming anything. Yes, you absolutely could.
So looking at that one, only 6 of up to the same battle line. That's really going to screw Guard infantry armies.
Well, no, because they could take like 6 units of Karskin, and then they could take 6 units of like Kazakin.
Well, Kazakin won't be battle line, I wouldn't have thought.
Oh no, true, they might be elites, but
so the chances are it'll be Guard infantry squads, and 60 Guard infantry is actually nothing. That's 1 transport full for some of their bigger transports.
True, but I suppose you could say that they could take
There might be more flexibility on what they make battle line.
And I was going to say
Yeah.
maybe like Torox Primes or something could be battle line, so you could get them all inside transports. I mean, I thought battle line, because it says or dedicated transports there, would mean like if you still wanted to run 6 Rhinos, 6 Terraxes, arguably maybe even 6 Razorbacks. Are Razorbacks going to be dedicated transport?
I'd imagine so. They are at the moment. There's no reason to think that they wouldn't be.
Yeah, so
Then
6
again, they might not be.
Razorbacks with double last cannon could actually be good. The whole game is going to change. And I guess we're going to get into that. It's massively going to change.
Yeah.
I seem to recall reading somewhere
is the old classic. I'm going to run loads of guard infantry squads. It doesn't. Yeah, okay. You can build out an army by padding it with transports and other crap if you like, but you're not going to be able to run 100 infantry like you do at the moment. That's not. Yeah, I've got 100 guard infantry squads. I use them to scatter them all around. I think they're cheap, they're nasty, whatever. That's not going to happen. You're going to run maximum of 60, which is 1 transport full if you take one of the bigger transports. And then the rest of your army's got to be other things. So the whole infantry guard spam sort of stuff is it's a bad time if you've got 100 basic infantry painted up.
But at the same time, you're not going to want that anymore, because like if
spam armies trying to spam the same thing are being bad. Oh no, what a shame.
Yeah, but it looks cool. Come on. It's not like you're spamming the best unit in the game, but spamming basic infantry and filling all your hordes of conscripts and commissars behind it is a pretty classic way of playing. It's like the big orc armies, Green Tide.
Yeah, but I'm sure there will be an option to run Unbound, mate.
Yeah, you'll be able to do something with it, but like here's the thing: you're not gonna want to do that anymore, because it's just, I don't think it's gonna work. It's the same as like, I've been thinking about Blood Angels. Like there's gonna be a legitimate argument, I think, for Blood Angels where you're gonna want 2 Land Raiders every game, or a Land Raider and a Repulsor every game. Like that's gonna be a legitimate list. People, you're probably gonna find that if you run Blood Angels all melee, and I run it with like a Land Raider and Repulsor, I'm probably going to win, if that's the only differences.
So Blood Angels less so, because we've got the jump packs, which is the mobility that you would get from being in a vehicle anyway. The only thing the Land Raider would add is it costs a lot of points, and it'd add ablative armor and wounds to survive you get there. It'd help with things like Blade Guard and Terminators, though, which obviously can't take jump packs, but Blood Angels get a lot of jump pack stuff.
Sure, but the thing you've got to remember, I suppose, we don't know if Red Thirst is going to change, so let's just assume that +1 to wound isn't a thing anymore. If you're a Space Marine army and you're running, let's say, like Blade Guard with your Mastercrafted Power Sword at strength 5,
you're not going to do shit to a Land
You're
Raider.
only going to wound Land Raiders on 6s, right? Yeah. And then when you do finally wound him on 6s, he's probably going to save on a 4 because you're going to be less AP. And here's when we get to terrain later, and this is what I want to clarify when we get to the terrain slide, if your Land Raider, if 1 millimeter of it is not visible to the opponent, i.e. you park it behind a lamppost, you're going to get +1 to your save for the entire game. Because they need to...
I think if people start taking lampposts as cover, then I'm going to be finding a new gaming group.
That's the rule, though, man. If 1 millimeter of it is not visible to all models in your unit, then it gets a cover save.
But that's only if it counts as certain types of cover, and I don't think lampposts are going to count as that type of cover.
The debris, they would count. I would say a single lamppost would be classified as a piece of debris, and we'll get to it later.
If you agree to class it as a piece of debris, then yes.
I mean, what else would you classify it as? There's nothing else it can fit into.
Nothing, basically.
Oh, sure. Okay, a statue. Like a small statue that's like 1 inch by 1 inch. If that's debris, then... Or like a crate. So if the Land Raider's parked behind
a Land Raider...
I'm with Highland on this. That sounds like epic try-harding with the terrain.
A Land Raider has an armor save of what? 2 up?
2 up, yes.
Yeah, and cover cannot improve armor saves better than 3 up if there's an AP of 0, right? So the cover benefit is irrelevant to a Land Raider behind half a broken statue.
No, because the second it's more than -1 AP, it's relevant. Right? So let's say you've got a bunch of -2 guns. Well, they're only -1 because I've got this lamppost in front of me. I guess we'll talk about it later, but it's everybody's getting cover. So I guess
If
building
we-
an
if
army,
we're
is there anything
scrolling-
else to say?
If we're scrolling too much past what people want to talk about or say, then please feel free to super chat us. It will get our attention, and we'll answer the question there. And on that note,
We'll
shall we
probably
have a
notice
look
if you
at
don't
our
super chat as well.
first?
Don't feel like we're shitting
no.
it quite that hard.
Should we have a look at our first Patreon question?
Yes,
Go on,
let's
then.
do it.
What's our first Patreon question?
So, Patreon James Gibb has asked us: will the Three Grots be running a live stream unboxing and build of the 10th Ed box on release day?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't see why we couldn't.
I think we'd bloody well like to.
I think there's two things that are going to affect that. One, can we get hold of the box on release day?
Well, that's going to
That's
be
a fair
sure. Yeah, that's true.
If we can, I'm sure we would like to try. And the other side of that is whether we can. If it's like a school night or something, we might have a bit of trouble, if you know what I mean. I think we're going to probably try and do it.
I mean, generally speaking, Games Workshop products have a release day of Saturday. That's been the same for years at this point. So it's unlikely to be a school night.
But I'm using it as an example.
Yeah, it's fair.
I think the answer to that is if we can, we will.
Yeah.
If we can't, we won't.
Yeah, I don't. People are jumping in on the terrain thing. I don't think it's even going to matter about land post. It's. Do you know what? Can we just cover that right now while we're there?
Yeah, go for it.
Because it just came up.
It's on your mind right now. It's a discussion point. Let's do it.
I just want to show you the wording of it because
No, that's fair.
It's.
So Craters and Rubble specifically say benefit of cover only applies if you're infantry.
Yeah, so
it's Craters and Rubble. Battlefield Debris doesn't say that.
Hills and sealed structures, right? It says each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every enemy model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model is a benefit of cover against the attack. So if I park my Land Raider behind a tiny little hill, 1 centimeter high, and every model in that unit cannot see the entirety of my Land Raider, I am having a cover save against that.
Yep.
Cool. If it's a wood, I am getting a cover save again. And gone is the -1 to hit. It's all just +1 to your
unless
save,
you're
right?
aircraft or towering. Yes.
I think Foz is right. It's what counts as fully visible. And in earlier editions of the game, fully visible had a percentage on it, and it was like if you can see 70% of the model or more, it counts as fully visible. And that was back
in boarding
7th
actions.
and earlier.
The definition of fully visible is the base. Can you see the entirety of the front of the model's base? If you can, great. If you can't, no.
Okay, well,
Obviously,
ruins.
some models don't have bases.
It will have some kind of ruling on that.
Yeah,
because it previously has always had a ruling on that.
So
and otherwise, it's going to have loads of tryhards going. There's a lamppost in the way. My Land Raider gets
going to
like John.
Yeah,
it is going to, and if we look at ruins, for example, each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if the model is either wholly within the terrain feature or it is not fully visible. So again, I just park one tiny little corner of my Land Raider behind a ruin. I'm going to take cover all game. And then I think there was one other place you could. So yeah, woods, hills, ruins, and this is debris. So like they've said, this statue is a debris. I guess this plasma coil is a debris. So this little thing here,
they're quite big comparatively.
Yeah, but what's this thing?
Tiny little box.
This little bulldozer thing is debris, right? So
if you've got a problem with that being debris, just go to your opponent at the start of the game and say, "Hi, this is small and pathetic. Can we not count it as debris, please?"
Sure, but at a tournament, if I'm fielding a couple of Land Raiders, I'm going to be like, well, that's debris. And you know other people are going to do it against you.
No, it isn't. What are you going to do with that?
Well, you can ask the TO, and they're going to say it's clearly a piece of debris.
Say whatever they want to say.
Yeah. So it's 50-50. I mean, they're making the game more competitive. This is going to make it like there's going to be no argument. You're just if you come to the table and your opponent says that's a piece of debris, and you say no, it's not. And then they say, well, let's ask the tournament organizer. And he says, well, it's a bulldozer in the middle of the... If
this is the worst 10th Ed has to bring, then I'm going to count that as a win, mate.
Okay, I'm just going to say everything's going to get cover. So the vehicles are going to just sit on cover saves for the entire game. Just throwing that out there. Unless you disagree, I think they're going to sit on cover saves for the entire game.
It's entirely possible there's a rule that we haven't seen that states something to do with the eligibility for vehicles to qualify.
Yeah. It's going to be the whole base, and if you can see 80% or 90% of the model, it counts as visible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's not going to be able to cope with models that haven't got a base.
I think you're going to have problems if you say 80%, though, because who's going to say,
Yeah,
it's
which
79?
is why we'll see.
We'll see.
Let's not borrow trouble.
Okay.
We don't know what it's going to be. Let's just have to wait and see on this one, because that's a hole that they're going to have to clarify at some point, and they will. At the very least, this time, in about a week and a half time from now, we're going to know basically everything, because the full contents of the box is going to be at Warhammer Fest, not this weekend but next.
Oh, that's very true.
Not necessarily though the rule book.
Maybe they have got on record and said the full contents will be there.
Yeah, but the full contents this is what the rule book looks like, not necessarily what's in it.
And there'll be playable demos.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with Highland. He's saying percentages will just bring arguments where it's like they've tried to make it very Boolean. So, okay, next up they showed the intercessor. I think we've all seen what an intercessor is.
Basic stat line. Yeah.
It's
cool.
Fair enough.
Pretty straightforward.
And then
it's just an example of everything else. I love the way that they've gotten rid of things like ballistic skill and number of attacks and strength off of the stat line of the model and onto the stat line of the weapon and the attack that they're making.
Yeah, I had a question about that. So does that mean that like your intercessor sergeant no longer gets a bonus attack? Because if it's just
unless he's the only model that can have a power sword.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it's the power sword stat in the thing,
probably yes, unless there's a special thing in there that says the sergeant gets +1 attack on whatever he attacks with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so in a standard squad where maybe
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
In a standard squad where everybody like I guess this guy here. What is this? Is this an incursor?
Yeah.
What?
No, this guy's
combat weapon. That's not an incursor.
No, because it's twin combat blade for incursor, isn't it? So I don't know what this is. I guess this is
just a dude with a. It's just a
dude with a knife.
Normal dude.
Yeah. Okay. So if the +1 attack is not included in the weapon profile, then
there's some candles.
There's no.
Take candle. He's a Black Templar.
That's why. Yeah. Because he's a kobold.
You take candle. Yeah. Okay.
That was niche.
Very niche.
Cool. Okay, so
lost the train of thought now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Any questions about them moving the attacks to the weapons?
Yeah,
seems simple enough.
It's different. I don't really have a problem.
It makes sense. I don't expect
it doesn't actually make a difference. It's just moving it from one place on the card to another.
You'll lose one extra attack from the sergeant not having his own stat line for number of attacks, which is fine.
Okay, and Zealbu, I can't say his name. Z in the chat is saying that he thinks it'll be on the weapon profile. They said so on Twitter.
Yeah.
So they'll have a sergeant weapon and a squad weapon profile.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I suspect so, because with a lot of these units, only the sergeant can take the special weapon.
That's true.
So if you put the extra attack on it, it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, I suppose for intercessors, that's true. Yeah.
Although if we're about to look at the Terminator data card, then there's no stat line for sergeant weapons in there. So
there's the power weapon. So we are going to look at it right now.
Yeah,
apparently.
That's true.
Here we go.
That has one more attack than everybody else. So there you go. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I completely missed that when I looked at this card before.
So did I.
So what I noticed though was Terminators they have a better innate armor save, and that their invulnerable save has been improved. So the Terminators used to have a 5-up invuln, now it's 4-up invuln.
Their innate armor save is still the same
there. Sorry, sure, yeah. And then they have more toughness. So my question, and I guess we have to wait to find out about this, was: do you think Gravis will have an invulnerable save built into it?
I doubt it. They might get an extra wound on top to differentiate them.
Yeah.
Going to toughness 6 sounds a bit much for me, but bumping them up to 4 wounds sounds like a reasonable compromise. Or maybe they'll just be cheaper in points.
Yeah. Faster, maybe give them movement 6.
Yeah.
So Firstborn Terminators have got a lot better in terms of like The assault cannon now has devastating wounds, which means when you roll to wound, 6s are mortals.
No. When you roll to wound, 6s, which is a critical wound, does the damage capability of the weapon as mortals immediately, and then you just stop rolling. So
Okay.
it kind of is, but if it's a damage 2 weapon, then each 6 to wound does 2 mortals.
Oh, interesting. I didn't pick up on that. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you get to a point where you're re-rolling wound rolls, then that's pretty cool.
Crack missiles went up to strength 9.
Yep, still D6 damage though, which is a bit weird.
It's a bit annoying, isn't it?
I confess I thought they'd do something about that, but I'll withhold judgment.
Well, they keep saying they're trying to tone down the lethality a little bit, don't they? So maybe they've decided that they're not going to do anything about those. Maybe even go the other way and bring in a bit more of it.
I was going to say, maybe other armies might lose D3 plus 3, because D3 plus 3 is kind of obnoxious on some characters and stuff.
Consistent, isn't it?
The AP on all of this is almost universally down by 1, at least.
Chainfist went down 2. They used to be -4.
But they do auto wound vehicles on 3. Which is nice.
So what's their AP now for Chainfist? Only -2, so that's pretty shit if you're hitting Land Raiders.
Well, that's what I was saying. So
bring the 2 up,
yeah. So maybe like things with a 2-up save are maybe not going to need invuns anymore, and that was a big thing that you would think. You would think a 2-up save guy is pretty resilient, but then you get into the bloody Rose meta, and it's like it's just the whole army's -4, and it's like all of a sudden your army feels terrible. Which is
the toning down of the AP. I think it's a good move, frankly. You were right. The lethality of the game went out the fucking wazoo in 9th edition. It just started high and got worse and worse and worse as the edition went on.
Well, it made it too difficult for armies that are quote-unquote tough to be tough. The only one that was really that tough was Custodes, and that was only because...
Yeah, which is why they had to patch in Armour of Contempt halfway through the edition.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say about the Teleport Homer, the Teleport Homer has sort of returned, in a way, to the Teleport Homer of old, where you put it down somewhere on the battlefield, and then you can obviously set up near that Teleport Homer. However, the interesting thing is now you can bring in your guys for either 0 CP next to the Teleport Homer. Is that in this article? The rapid redeploy? Yes, rapid ingress. Have you seen this, Tony? So, and what's interesting in this, although they show the picture of the Teleport Homer, remember, this is just any unit that's in Deep Strike. So Marine units in Deep Strike, so that could be Sanguinius Guard, could be Death Company, it could be Vanguard Veterans. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, for 1 CP, you can bring in your unit from reserves. It's obviously free if you bring them in next to the Teleport Homer, but the cool thing I like about this is... Let's assume that you feel not very confident about holding an objective in no man's land. You don't need to put anything on that. You wait for your opponent to do all their movement, yada, 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 and then you go, well, that one objective that they didn't go on to, I could probably hold that now if I put all my guys into this obscuring position because he's finished his movement. I'm going to pay 1 CP and I'm going to do that and I'm going to hold it. So it gives Marines like I don't know what other armies will have this, but it gives
reactionary.
Gives Marines a pretty interesting reactionary that will score primaries very effectively.
I quite like it. Maybe not just
every army gets rapid ingress.
It's quite nice to
hold on. That's a core stratagem. It says if you scroll up like a couple of clicks on your mouse, it says that rapid ingress is a core stratagem. So it's one of the 12 core stratagems that every army gets access to.
Oh, really? I did not read that. Interesting.
So it's quite nice if you want to protect things as well. So if they bring in something to, I don't know, fight you off an objective and that, you can bring in some Terminators to fight back, which just makes for a nice, big, fluffy, cool fight. So I quite like that.
Although, obviously, you can be screened out if your opponent moves in there because you still got the 9-inch bubble.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's just another layer of sort of tactics, isn't it?
Should we have a look at the second Patreon question?
Yes, let's do it.
Go on, then.
Cool. Jeff Weaver has asked, it seems that, at least based on what has been previewed so far, that weapons will be a bit weaker in 10th compared to 9th. Considering that 9th edition is considered a bit too killy, isn't making weapons weaker generally a good thing? Instead, it seems like there's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction of, no, I'm being nerfed.
No, I like it.
I
think it's a good thing.
Thought that at all. I hadn't thought that people would be nerfed at all. The thing that I thought maybe, and I could be off base here, is I don't know if Marines will get doctrines anymore. Or if they do get doctrines, I don't think they'll increase AP anymore.
No, I doubt they will.
They've got to fit all the benefits that Marine armies used to get into 2 pages, and that includes how you make your detachment, and how you build your detachment, and all your stratagems, and all your warlord traits and enhancements. And
I would be surprised if doctrines were still a thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because they only came in. Was it 8th they came in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they weren't earlier than that. I just couldn't. So yeah, I think it's a good thing, the lack of killing. My only concern with it is a bit like it was with 9th. Now, when the Space Marine Codex came out in 9th, and I looked at it and the Necron Codex at the same time, I really liked it. I thought, right, we've toned down, because at the end of 8th, Blood Angels were absolutely at the top of the meta. And it was a bit oppressive, depending on who you asked. But it was a bit oppressive
at that time, yeah.
Iron Hands were really, really broken. Blood Angels was really, really powerful. And I thought, right, okay, if they're going to tone down all the codexes together, then sure, fine. I've got no problem with that, because that's just going to make the games a little bit more interesting, a little bit more balanced. Yeah. My fear is that they tone down all the stuff for the indexes, and then when the codexes come out, they ramp up the power of the later codexes again.
Unbelievable. X-Believable donated $1 super chat. Thank you so much, X-Believable. We do appreciate it.
If you want to ask a question or something, please feel free to do so. I agree with your fear of codex creep. They've said they're going to try and tone it down, and
I have a woke.
Well, we've got no choice but to give them that chance to. This is going to happen or not, frankly. But
where did that come from?
That's my OBS at my end.
Oh right, it grabbed the soundboard. I see. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think AP going down is going to be a bad thing. I think it's going to help them balance a lot more.
Yeah. It was an arms race. Things got so high, so quickly, so bad that there was nowhere really to go to make things more lethal. The arms race got ridiculous with the amount of power creep and everything. So I'm frankly glad that everything's being brought way back down to a nice base starting level.
I need that.
Basically, I hope it stays there. It's really what I'm getting at with that.
Yeah, Tony, send me that I Am Awoken sound. I loved it. The thing that I think I wanted to say there was, like, in my recent gaming against Eldar, there was, like, an X-Arch from, like, a Striking Scorpion squad or something stupid just kills, like, a whole squad of Death Company in one turn.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
the upgrades you give them are pretty stupid.
I was like, they're like 10 attacks and 6s are suddenly becoming AP3. And when we start speaking about weapon, like this sort of stuff, like Devastating Wounds or Torrent, I think Torrent is going to be like the auto hits because it's a flamer, right?
Would figure, makes sense.
But like when we start speaking about this, and there is a whole slide or there's a whole article about the weapon types, we could probably just move to that now, because why not?
All right.
When we start speaking about weapon types, if I can find it.
I love what they've done to bolters. I think that's a really cool thing for the bolt rifles that we're about to look at.
I think it's going to make it look a lot better. From a modelling point of view, I love the fact that I can mix and match in a squad.
Yeah. You don't have to longer worry. Oh, it hasn't got the scope on it. Clearly, it's not this particular type of bolt rifle.
So I can just model for what looks coolest rather than anything else. That really appeals to me.
I don't know if Exarchs are going to be characters or if they're just going to be like sergeants, an inherent part of the squad. I don't know. Zibelval has super chatted again. Thank you so kindly. Gravis got unyielding in face of foe built in 10th ed.
What's unyielding in the face of? Is that the one that makes damage one weapons plus one armor save or something?
It does, yes. I haven't seen a Gravis profile in 10th.
That'd be cool if they do. No, nobody's seen it. I guess that must be a leak from somewhere if that's the case.
I would definitely not have a problem with that. I want Gravis is quite cool, and I want it to be different to Terminators. It needs to have its own sort of niche.
Well, there's that stratagem that they showed off for Marines that is worsens the AP of attacks against this unit by 1. So if that stacks with Gravis's ability to do that, then that could be pretty horrible for Gravis.
So, Zeebel says he's got insider info.
I see. Okay, well, thank you so much for the $2. We
Yeah,
have
appreciate
awoken. That would be a cool way to differentiate Gravis. I would like Gravis to be better. Now that we can get Gravis inside all sorts of transports, that's going to be... Well, we don't quite know what transports Gravis can go in yet.
I am willing to make an educated guess.
Tell me what Gravis can go inside.
I'll tell you what it won't go in. It won't go in rhinos, won't go in impulsors, won't go in drop pods.
Oh, I noticed something about
What about
rhinos.
Razorbacks? No Razorbacks.
Won't go in Razorbacks. In short, Gravis will go in anything Terminators can currently go in.
So Storm Ravens,
Yes.
Thunderhawk gunships,
Yes.
Spartans,
Yes.
and then
Termites.
Land Raiders. Oh, termites. At the moment, you can only put... You can't put Terminators and termites. Terraxes.
Can you not?
No, you can just put Firstborn and Terraxes. That's why I thought Blade Guard Veterans inside Terraxes sounds really nice. Because Blade Guard Veterans aren't Gravis. We always get those confused because they look like they should be in Gravis, like they're chunky boys. They got big ass shields, but they're not Gravis.
No, they're in power armor, yeah.
Yeah.
Terrax, pattern, termite.
I think the Terrax takes...
Cannot transport jump pack Terminator, Primaris, Wolf, or Centurion. No, so it can't transport Terminators, so it won't take Gravis.
But it might take Blade Guard Vets.
I'd imagine it would do, because they're explicitly not Gravis. They're just normal Mark 10 armor.
And how many units inside a Terrax again? Is it 10 or is it 12?
I can't remember.
I'm the one that's run the Terrax at the tournament recently.
I haven't got one. I've got a model.
Fine. Just got rid of the rules. I'll get them back up again.
Okay.
While I'm doing that,
let's talk about bolt rifles then. While you're
12.
doing that, 12
transport capacity 12.
So you could put like. Oh, that was my question though. Do you think Blade Guards will take up more than one slot?
I think in fluff terms, Blade Guard should only take up one slot because ultimately they are just a intercessor power armor. But they got bloody great big storm shields, so there's a case that they could take up 2 slots.
Yeah. If not, you could fit
make
a
the same
lot.
argument though with things like Hell Blasters because they've got fucking great big guns.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll
or
find
Devastators, because Devastators don't take up 2 slots, and a plasma cannon is hardly small.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair point. Well made.
So here's the thought: like, if Land Raiders are that strong, like, what's the one that's got the 16 unit capacity, the Crusader? If Crusaders are that strong, you could have like 2 squads of 6-man Blade Guard vets in there, both with a character attached. You could actually attach a lieutenant and a captain to both of them, right?
That reminds me. Going back to the weapons profiles, which we're on at the moment, where it goes over universal special rules for weapons profiles and whatnot. You got devastating wounds, which is an assault cannon. So when an assault cannon does a critical wound, which is a wound roll of 6, it does a number of mortal wounds equal to its damage capacity, which is fine.
Cool.
And later on, it goes on to say how twin linked has been changed, so that twin linked is now not doubling the number of shots, but instead lets you re-roll the wound roll.
Correct.
So anything that's got a twin linked assault cannon, like a Baal Predator, will have 6 shots, re-rolling to wounds, and you'll be fishing for 6s for mortals.
Yeah, which is not bad for Baal Predators. In a meta where there's going to be a lot of really high toughness shit that you're possibly only going to wound on 6s, at least then you would just go straight through their armor.
Exactly.
It sounds to me as well, from what I've seen, it looks like mortals have been toned down, because like, I guess we haven't seen anything yet that says mortals are going to be crazy. But
wounds.
I think,
as in volume of mortal wounds.
Well, yeah, like
we know straight away that smites are not doing mortal wounds.
I think that was what I saw, was like the smites aren't doing mortal wounds. What are smites doing these days?
They're just a shooting attack,
attack. They're AP -2 or something, and they do a damage or 2.
I've got it here.
So you can makes all the phases count. Yeah, there we go.
D6 hits, strength 5 -1, D3 damage. So it's actually reasonably shooty, but no mortals.
Yeah.
Averaging 3 shots, probably 2 hits, maybe potentially like 4 damage out from a smite or something.
And that keyword on the smite, hazardous, is like plasma is currently. So if you choose to go hazardous, then it is 1 more strength and 1 more AP, but you got a chance of taking damage from it.
But then you get the devastating wounds, which means if you wound on a 6, you get some mortals. So
yeah, which would be D3 mortals in this case. Which is kind of cool. Yeah, all right, I get that.
It's interesting. I don't know how I feel about it yet, to be honest.
Risk versus reward, I guess. What would a hazardous, because it's a shooting attack, I assume it'd just be a roll of 1 like a plasma gun, right?
It seems to be, doesn't it?
They haven't specified it, but again, I would assume it's a roll of a 1 to hit.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because it means that other psychic abilities, like the Veil of Time on this datasheet, have no chance of perilsing.
True. I actually really like
feel
the
like
Psyker.
they're slimming down the psychic phase to be a lot less.
I mean, I like it
because the psychic phase is gone, but it means it's not nearly as impactful. So I do feel for sort of Thousand Suns players and that for whom I know it mentions, it's not fair on everybody else, but that was
one of the main
part
reasons
of their game
I
was how they were
didn't
going to
want to
stack
bring
and how they were going
psychic
to pick.
stuff in Blood
picking their
Angels was because it's
spells.
unreliable. It's not going to happen when you need it to. It's going to happen sometimes and not all the times, and I don't want to run a battle plan based on unreliability. So now I'm far more interested in bringing a librarian because I know that its powers are going to work.
Yeah, I just feel like it's taken away a layer of strategy possibly from some armies. That what spells you took and how you used them and how they interacted with each other was such a really key part of the army.
So on that, I'm part of an Eldar community from a chap who does an Eldar YouTube channel, very much like you do for Blood Angels, John. And this Discord that he does, if you're a subscriber to it, there's a lot of bitching going on in there as to you're taking all the detail and all the customization and all the massive things we can do to min-max our psychic phase away from us. Wow. There's a lot of complaining in there.
And I can see that, because if they're going to take a lot of the depth out of an army, they've got to replace it with something.
I think the question I've got on that
is, dull, isn't it?
Is psychic powers going to be fixed for every character and every unit on the datasheet? Is there going to be any
that's the
choice
question
at all?
that I'm wondering about it. Because if it's not, then it's just going to change a bit, isn't it? Your strategy is going to change.
With AOS, they do a little bit of better one, a little bit of the other. So you get like 1 or 2 powers, so spells fixed on the datasheet, and you get to choose a couple more from a psychic power list or whatever. But if the psychic power list is going away because they're consolidating all the army rules onto a 2 pages worth of detachment rules, then maybe it is just going to be fixed psychic powers on the datasheet.
I think to begin with, it is going to be fixed psychic powers on a data sheet. I think that's a change that I'm not sure I love.
I agree. Because we're dependent on what GW thinks is a good psychic power to give this character.
Yeah.
Totally. And I don't trust them not to make the wrong call. They might make the good call on some of them, and then on this one key unit, it'll be a bad call, and nobody will ever use that unit.
Yeah, that's my worry, because we saw that with like some of the Warlord traits, and we saw Codex creep on Warlord traits this edition, where it was like, just because this Codex... Black Templars versus Mephiston was a great example. There was the exact same Warlord trait, like fights first that Mephiston has, but in the Black Templars book that came out like 9 months later, it was fight first plus 1 attack. So it's like, so what? The same 1 CP just gets you an extra attack because the Codex came out 9 months later. So there definitely could be that where it's like, oh, this power is rubbish.
Well, all we've got to go on is they've said that they're going to try and tone down power creep this edition. So we'll have to wait and see how that manifests.
Do you want to talk about this Orc Weird Boy and his jump? Because the jump and stuff has changed a little bit. What do you think about it? Once per turn, at the end of your movement phase, 1 Weird Boy unit from our army can use this ability. If it does, roll a d6. On a 1, that Weird Boy unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. On a 2-up, remove the Weird Boy's unit from the battlefield and set them up, obviously 9 inches away, standard sort of deep strike practice.
So, I think that's cool that they can be jumping all around the battlefield all game, but it's really limited in a way that isn't made apparent just reading the datasheet, which is when a character joins a unit, they join during deployment, and then they're attached to that unit for the rest of the game, and they can't move away and they can't change unless the unit they're attached to dies, at which point they become their own unit. So only 1 unit is going to be jumping around the battlefield that the Weird Boy is attached to for the entire game.
True.
I think it's going to be important to know whether multiple characters can join a unit as well, because I don't think they've said that yet, have they?
They have. They've explicitly said that 1 character can join a unit at any one time, with the odd exception that is in the lieutenant's data sheet that says, because he's a lieutenant and he's meant to be the second in charge to a captain, if a captain has joined,
then he can join as well.
Then Lieutenant can join that unit as well. Yeah. So I imagine there's going to be analogues for that between other armies as well. Zibelval has very kindly super chatted once again with this insider info, which says detachments do have their own psi powers, has not been shown yet. So that's interesting. If that's the case.
I was going to say, so how does that change your data card?
It means that some characters and some data cards will have a choice of choose 1 extra power from X list or 2 extra powers from X list that they can do on top of the data sheet.
That's how Sigma works, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Why don't we talk about Battleshock as well?
I'm hearing somewhere that they're... Maybe it was in the initial interview, in the reveal interview, where they might have said that psychic power trees are going down to like 3 powers.
They did say
faction.
They did say there was going to be less enhancement, less powers, and warlord traits are going to be rolled together into the new enhancement thing. My thought is, I really, really hope they let enhancements be picked by named characters, and kind of how you said there a minute ago. You hope that they don't say that like only psychic powers can be, certain psychic powers are limited to certain units, because that I think that's my biggest bugbear with like 9th edition.
I doubt it. I think named characters will almost certainly continue the trend from this edition of there being completely fixed and you can't buy an extra enhancement or extra thing for them. They just got what they've got, so you can't tweak them beyond the cheese that they've already got.
God damn it. Don't ruin my dreams, Mark.
That's my job. It's part of my job. Actually, no, it's a pleasure and a privilege that I don't take for granted.
Yes, okay, Battleshock. So this is the new leadership test, morale test, whatever you want to call it.
Bloody love this. I think it's great.
So
with one exception.
Go for it.
I dislike that once a unit is below half strength, you then have to roll for it every turn. And it could vary between being battle shocked and not from turn by turn. That bugs me slightly.
It's going to
make it hard to plan, isn't it?
I mean, it's cool because they're broken. They've suffered damage. They're below proper fighting strength. You can no longer count on them in your battle plan. But if you're lucky, they might turn the tide somewhere. And I kind of like that from a flavour and feel point of view.
Do you know what?
I'm just not sure I like rolling for them every turn.
Do you know what shouted out to me is when I read it, I was like, okay, so Tech Marines and Apothecaries just got hell a lot more valuable. Because if it's a case of like, hey, I just put 1 more guy back alive in this unit, or I put 1 more wound back alive on this vehicle, and all of a sudden they're immune to battle shock again, that is going to be worth its weight in gold. So
I'd imagine chaplains will do that sort of a bonus. Yeah, exactly, because that's the chaplain's job is to maintain morale of the army. That's their purpose.
That's true as well, yeah.
So maybe there's going to be
like a commissar in a guard army.
Analog across the board, isn't there? Maybe
Force's business idea
around this battle shock unreliability problem.
Let's make 3 Grots battle shock tokens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having battle shock tokens makes perfect sense. Double-sided, where you can have one side saying below half strength, not broken, and below half strength, battle shocked. Absolutely, there's a no-brainer there for somebody to do
that. So I don't think Tech Marines attached to squads, but I guess Apothecaries probably do.
They might do.
We don't know, do we?
There's something a little bit...
Horus Heresy.
Maybe they do. We don't know. It's entirely possible. Maybe they'll attach to a dreadnought. Who knows? Or a tank or whatever. There's something a little bit later on about a Mechaniac buffing shooting out of a vehicle. Is that in the transport section?
Yeah, I think so. Was there anything else we wanted to say about bolt rifles? Because we went on a giant tangent.
We did. I love it. I think it's great. I think the idea that they've melded the 3 different types of gun into one there, based on how you want to use it flexibly at any given point, is great.
I had a question about
they're going
this.
To do the same thing with the melter rifles and the plasma things for the Hellblasters and that as well.
It would make sense.
I like it from a modelling point of view. It just makes it look better, more interesting squads.
Am I wrong in reading this? I read that paragraph a few times. Weapons with assault in their profile are known as assault weapons. It never mentions that there's any -1 to hit with assault weapons anymore.
You're correct. It doesn't mention that.
So is that gone?
Apparently so.
It would imply so.
Okay.
So it would imply so.
So aggressors with twin-linked bolt rifles and 2 sets of assault weapons just got a lot better, right?
Yeah, because they get to move and advance and shoot, but they then would not get to charge because you can't advance and charge.
Sure.
Assuming that doesn't change. There's no reason to
I don't think that would change. So Meltos
and if you don't move, if you stand still and take aim with it, then you get +1 to hit. Because it's heavy. I like that. That's cool.
In the case of the intercessor with their flexible weapon, yeah.
And the melter rifle there that you're looking at, it's got the heavy keyword. So if you stand still and fire the melter rifle, you'll be hitting on 2s rather than 3s.
I thought that was only because, or this isn't actually attached to this gun. This is just general rules about heavy.
That's a general rule for the rule of heavy. Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. Peter's asking, are meltas and rifles no longer anti-tank with only strength 9?
They're anti-tank because they've got AP4, but they appear to be less anti-tank in terms of wounding them. You're correct.
I can't help but wonder if they're going to get some, like, the Chain Fist has got that armor bane sort of rule. So to get round the fact that it's not high enough.
We were talking about this a little bit in the Discord in chat earlier, and GW has said something along the lines of how railguns are just going to be like strength 20 or something stupid like that.
Yeah, they said that.
So I'm not sure we'll see anti-vehicle on firearms. We might, but we might not. We might just see like las cannons at strength 12 or something.
I just can't see them saying that the melter gun, which has been the anti-tank but short-ranged weapon for squads since Rogue Trader days, is suddenly no longer an anti-tank weapon.
Maybe the multi-melter will be. Maybe it's just the melter rifle that's strength.
It's such a massive change.
And the multi-melter could be strength 10 or 11.
In the game.
Yeah, that's maybe true. It could be heavy melter rifles you need now. Clint coming in with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Clint. If you've got a question, please put it in. I guess here's my as much as you said a strength 20 weapon was silly, Mark. The railgun is only one shot, and if you think about it, like your repulsor and Land Raider are toughness 12 now. So you
no. You missed my point. Strength 20 is cool because it means it'll be wounding vehicles on 3s and everything, most other things on 2s. But it does mean if it's strength 20, it's unlikely to get the anti-whatever keyword because it's got the high strength there instead.
Yes, true.
Mike, I thought back in 7th edition it was strength 8, but 2d6 armor pen within half range.
Oh, God.
Because the Predator was only armor 12.
God, I don't remember. There's going to be 2 types of melta: anti-heavy infantry and anti-tank, apparently.
That makes sense.
Could be.
And this melter rifle, the man-portable one with just one barrel that a Gravis...
it's front armor 13, sorry.
Eradicator carries, would be the anti-infantry melter, and then multi-melters would be the anti-vehicle one. That does make a degree of sense.
When I saw this, I thought to myself instantly... you know that quote from Lord of the Rings when he's like, meat's back on the menu, boys? Well, I mean, for one, how did the Urukai know what a menu is? But anyway, when I saw this, I thought to myself, like, attack bikes are back on the menu, boys, right? Like, because they're running the multi-melters, surely, right?
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
Melter
land
rifles...
speeders and multi-melters, or that other, the Mario Kart Primaris version.
Yes, no one remembers what those are called.
No. Just very few people bought them.
Oh, that's going to annoy me now. What is the Primaris bike? No, it's not an Outrider.
It's not an Outrider, no.
Oh, I never bought one of them. But the melter rifle is also 6 inches less in range as well now.
Invader ATV.
The Invader ATV, that's the one.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. Invader ATV.
All right, we need to get some ATVs up in here, huh?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
All right, what we've talked about terrain, we've talked about flexible weapon rules, we've talked about weapon. Do you want to talk about transports?
Yeah, so I know I've come across as relentlessly negative about 10th edition.
Yep.
And I don't
That's
mean
because
to.
you have been relentlessly negative about 10th edition.
I don't mean to. It's just the focus is perhaps not one that I'm particularly excited for. The new models look great. But one thing that I am super excited for, one of 2 things I'm super excited for, is transport.
Spanish Inquisition.
I love the idea of... I've always liked mechanized armies. I just think they look cool. So being able to put all your stuff in transports and having a purpose to doing it again really, really appeals to me. Land Raiders are so cool.
Off the back of this article, I've been and dusted off a rhino that was sitting in a cabinet somewhere and just like gone over it to get rid of all the dust.
Something that I did notice in this is, I think it's scrolling right down to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
John, scroll.
Scroll.
In these, there we go, right at the bottom with the little points here. Look.
Yeah.
The Rhino, Razorback, and Impulsor are still specialized for certain squad types, which implies to me that maybe the Primaris going in everything is perhaps not quite as neat as we think. So maybe when they're saying specialized squad types, things like the Rhino will be specialized to a tactical squad and a Razorback to a Devastator squad, something like that. It implies along those lines more. It's just strange the way they've separated that out. Big thing of Primaris can go in anything, and then they've pulled out those couple of different vehicles at the bottom there. They said, well, these ones work a bit differently.
So in GW's defense in this, the Rhino is fucking tiny. If you compare the tank against a bunch of Space Marines, there is no way you're fitting 10 Space Marines.
Oh God,
let alone Firstborn inside the sculpt of a Rhino.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're being a little bit more limited, and the Rhino and the Impulsor are basically the exact same thing, right? To all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're doing a bit of differentiation between the two.
I mean, I imagine the Impulsor will have more of a firing deck, which I actually think is a cool rule. How do you guys think about firing decks?
It's a bit like the old Fireport rule.
It's open topped, isn't it? But restricted, yeah. So I like it. It's good.
If you remember back in the old editions, you had fireports, which meant that you had depending on the vehicle, have 1, 2, or none fireports. And if you had 2, then 2 of the guys in their guns could count as the vehicle's guns. So,
and we know a Rhino's got firing deck 2 because that was in the vehicle preview. It was part of the stat line for it, and that obviously represents a couple of Space Marines popping out the hatch on the back and shooting, which is cool. Yep. I also like the fact that they've said that they're taking the time to work out how a unit inside the transport can benefit from buffs, because it's the transport that counts as shooting, not the unit.
I had a question about that.
Yeah.
So if you have a heavy weapon, typically the caveat of a heavy weapon used to be if you had it on infantry and you moved, you would be -1 to hit.
Yeah, would you do that now?
It just doesn't do that now. So
no,
if you
heavy does what we saw.
Bonus to hit.
Heavy says if you don't move, you get +1 to hit. That's all heavy says now.
Okay, so if I have, let's say, 2 Devastator squads of multi-meltas inside my Repulsor, I use my Tech Marine to make my Repulsor +1 to hit, then it said that everything that's in the firing deck also gets that +1 to hit.
Assuming a Repulsor has firing deck, then yeah.
Yeah, okay, interesting. I mean, the Impulsor should have it because it's open-topped, so maybe there could be some sort of meta there where you have...
no, are you talking about the Impulsor or the Repulsor?
Sorry, the Impulsor, the one that's open-topped.
Stupid same name stuff. Yeah, Impulsor.
So you could put like a whole squad of Devastators in there, make it +1 to hit, and then you've got a boatload of multi-melta fire coming out of an Impulsor.
Sibelvol says he has intel on what can ride in what. If you wish to share, please share. If you don't want to worry about it, then that is absolutely cool and awesome. Thank you. He says Impulsor is firing deck 5, which is...
Okay, so a whole Devastator squad.
A lot more than a Rhino.
Yeah, so there's... Yeah. I honestly think as Blood Angels, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I guess we'll find out as the meta shakes out, I think that you're going to want an Impulsor, a Land Raider, and a Repulsor, or 2 Land Raiders. Like, that's going to be meta. Like, you're going to want that, because they can sit on objectives with those crazy high toughness, like toughness 12, so they're only going to get wounded on 6s from, like, most things in the game. The only thing that's not going to wound them on 6s is, like, your Meltas or your rail cannons, right? So they're going to hold your objectives...
If that becomes the meta, then anti-vehicle firepower is also going to become meta.
Well, sure, but if you have all those vehicles full of, like, let's say 5 Sanguinary Guard, so you move them all up for turn 1, you hold all your objectives, all your Sanguinary Guard, disembark 3, jump 12, charge everything. Sounds pretty good to me. David's coming in with a £20 super chat, David, to get us some beers. Well, superstar, David. Sweet. Yeah. We love
that's
beers.
Absolutely spectacular. Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Drink to that, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
So firing dead.
Should we have a look at the third Patreon question that has been asked for us?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So this third question is also from James Gibb. And to round off the Patreon questions, he has asked us for the eye roll question. What will be the strongest units for Blood Angels in 10th Ed?
Do we all get to just pick one?
Thunderhawk gunships.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Okay, so Tony's is the Thunderhawk. What do you think will be strongest?
Objectively, if you were going to pick one unit, right, you can have any one unit. I don't think that you can pick a Blood Angels unit that is stronger than a Thunderhawk gunship.
Okay. I mean, point for point, I guess.
I didn't say point for point. I said strongest individual unit. And you can be sitting there going, oh, well, my bike captain's great. And he is great. He's very efficient. But he's still dead if I shoot him with a Thunderhawk cannon.
All right, Mark,
it's hard to argue with that. Let's be fair. Although Foz reckons #Mastodon meta, so you've got some competition there.
All right, I'll give you my one before you, Mark, because I've got my unit here, right?
Go on, what's yours?
A Land Raider Crusader with a lamppost.
Right, fine. That's going to be John's broken piece of cheese. Do you own a Land Raider Crusader, John?
I 100% own one, and I'm thinking if it takes 16 and Bladeguard, it's painted enough. It's got 3 colors. If it takes 16, I'm thinking we could have 2 6-man squads of Bladeguard in there, plus characters attached. I mean, that's crazy. Oh, if they can't kill it because it's toughness 12.
If they count as 1 per, then yeah.
All right. So what do you reckon is going to be better then?
Oh, Jesus.
A Land Raider Crusader with 2 6-man squads of Bladeguard, or a Land Raider Crusader with 5 Assault Centurions in it?
I think the Bladeguard.
You reckon the Bladeguard's going to hit harder than the...
I mean, I guess
Bladeguard versus...
I was going to say, Core is going to be gone now, though, right? Like, so yeah. Centurions
everything we've shown shows that Core is gone.
Yeah, so Centurions may be better now, I guess.
There does seem to be a sort of like a core type limit, however, and that is that the lieutenant is shown in the characters thing to only be able to join and therefore only able to buff certain specific units.
That's true, yeah. It did show the list of lieutenant units that could buff, didn't it? Let me see if I can find that.
Miguel's just made a good point, though. Why are we fucking about with Land Raider Crusaders when we could just be putting 20 of them in a Spartan?
It's fair. I mean, there's a shitload of Spartans kicking around these days.
Yeah, I've got one. I still haven't built mine.
Well, you might have to now.
What is the toughness going to be on, like...
Spartan?
Well, yeah, I was going to say Spartan, or like...
We know what it's going to be on Repulsors, which are comparative to Land Raiders.
Uh-huh.
It's only 12, isn't it?
So, Storm Speeder, toughness 9, a Gladiator, which is comparative to Predators, toughness 10, and a Repulsor, which is comparative to Land Raiders, toughness 12.
Yeah, so like...
Spartan, I'd imagine, would be 14.
Yeah. So a Fellblade, do you think will be 12 or 14?
I'd imagine a Fellblade would be the same as a Spartan.
I think, didn't they mention that a Stomper's like 14, didn't they?
What did they say was 14, sorry?
14 or 16. I can't remember which, one of the two.
I thought they said 14. So I could see kind of your standard super heavy being about.
I can't remember
14.
where I saw that, but I saw that somewhere.
Okay.
It was in the vehicle, whenever the vehicle release one was.
See, I don't know, like, it's going to be interesting, because, like, a Terrax at the moment is toughness 8. I don't think after the shake-up it'll be toughness 12 like a Land Raider. I think it might be
right, but then so's the Gladiator, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The Gladiator only went 8 to 10, whereas the Land Raider has gone 8 to 12. So I think the Terrax will land about 10, maybe?
Tony, you're right. The Stomper is mentioned specifically in the vehicle article, and it does say 14.
So I've just got a feeling that you kind of standard super heavy armored thing,
like a Knight or
like
a Spartan,
a Knight or a Spartan, or something, might be about a 14. But I'm absolutely speculating. I could be dead wrong.
Jim, I am also hopeful that Martial Legacy goes away. Fuck that rule. I hate it.
I think it will go away. I don't think you're going to have enough command points to mess with it.
And when it goes away, they will start selling more of these plastic Horus Heresy kits, and GW will be laughing, and let's hope it goes away.
Turkey, can't they fit 6 dudes in their proper Land Raider rather than their shit gold painted Space Marine Land Raider?
I've got no idea. I reckon the best unit for Blood Angel's army is going to be Death Company.
With hammers or with something else?
Firstborn Death Company with jump packs. Don't know what loadout.
Okay. I mean, they are kind of cheap and cheerful at the moment, and kind of the best unit.
Yeah, I haven't done hard over
really.
whether saying Sanguinary Guard, but I think it's actually going to be Death Company.
I think for raw offensiveness, it's Death Company. I guess it depends on how you stack buffs on Death Company. Something tells me Death Company may have OC 0, I guess, says Mike.
Imagine
I think that would be quite a nice thing to give them.
Yeah, they should do. They don't care about holding objectives in the slightest. That makes perfect sense to me. And imagine the buffs Lamartis gives them when he joins a unit Death Company.
It's simpler than some of the some of the other ones. Just say, look, they don't hold objectives.
Yeah, and them being broken for battle shock tests doesn't matter in the slightest because they've got OC 0 anyway, so they don't care.
True.
Yeah, I think that's quite a neat.
So what do you think?
That's a really good idea, actually, because it means that whilst their leadership could be whatever they want it to be, the fact that they're broken doesn't matter to them in the slightest. That's a really elegant way of doing it.
The only thing it would matter is if you played strats on them, but you're probably not going to play that many strats on the Death Company anyway.
But since you get 12 core stratagems and 6 stratagems for your army, the amount of stratagems you've got and the amount of CP you're going to have, you're probably not going to want to spend that many on the Death Company.
No.
Or there'll certainly be no Death Company specific stratagems.
Yeah, I think we'll also see a lot less stratagems that only affect one model or one type of model, and I'm actually really happy about that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you know what?
They'll be on data sheets.
I've scrolled past this slide a bunch of times. Let me just say this real quick. If you are enjoying today's stream, guys, please hit the like button. If you know a friend who's going to get into 10th edition, share the stream with them. Let them know about it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that as well. We are going to try and do a lot of 10th edition content, right?
Zabelval suggests no Death Company detachment at launch, which I can figure. That makes a degree of sense. I expect that'll be the sort of thing they put in a codex when that comes along.
Yeah, I think that would be too specialist.
Yeah, Armor of Contempt. You guys see this stratagem for 1 CP? And I know this stratagem is from...
Which article is that in?
It's in front of me on the screen share. Can you see the screen share?
Rules. Okay, cool.
So this is one of the Gladiators Task Force, which is one of the generic Space Marine ones. And what's really nice about this is, and if we go back to 8th edition, right, will there be a Blood Angels attachment on launch, says Jim? I think so, but we don't 100% know. I think they would.
I suspect there will be. I don't know for sure, but I suspect everything that's got a codex or a codex supplement will have a detachment for it. Zibel says no, there won't be, which may not be accurate. We'll see.
I guess we'll see. But what's interesting about this strat is, like, if we go back to 9th edition, right, like in terms of like survivability, you've got like that 1 Gravis strat that boosts the AP against 1 damage by 1. You would have like refusal to die in the Death Company, you'd have transhuman, but all these things have like really specific, like transhuman's only in Primaris, this one's only in Gravis, this one's only a Death Company. Now you just have one that says when you're attacked in the shooting or the fight phase for 1 CP, you just worsen the AP by 1 on any Adeptus starters model. So that means characters, units, vehicles, anything, you can just make it 1 worse. And if these are the sort of strats that we're going to get, then that's going to make the game, it's going to do 2 things, right? That'll
be one of the 6 stratagems that we get as part of that detachment.
Which I think is great, because it's going to be very clear for your opponent. Like, once you've played Gladiatus once, for example, you're going to be like, oh yeah, Gladiatus is the guy where he can reduce my AP by 1. It's nice and simple, easy to remember. He can use it on any unit. You're not going to have to remember, oh, his Terminators can be transhuman, blah, 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 and his Death Company can be blah, 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 and so on and so forth, trying to work out your target priority, because you've got different strats that we use in all these different units. It's just like unified, and I actually really like that.
Yes, Tony, would you like to show off your T-shirt to all of the new arrivals who haven't properly seen it?
There we go.
We're going to sell these T-shirts, and I'm going to get all the commission.
We'll put it on a merch store. Yeah.
Are you going to license your face? Is that how this is going to work?
Yes.
Actually, in chat, what hashtag should we put on a T-shirt underneath Tony's face? And what hashtag should we put on a T-shirt underneath my face? I want to see this.
I was going to say, we have to get you. You have to do a stupid. You have to do a stupid face for a thumbnail as well.
I'm sure that won't be too difficult.
No.
Yeah. I want hashtag Thunderhawk meta.
It came in already.
Hashtag see you on Tuesday. All right, maybe not.
We don't know, Jim.
I think Mike, I can't read that one out.
I was going to say we don't know exactly what.
I reckon we'd be demonetized if I wore a T-shirt with that just written on it. Do you reckon that would demonetize us? Because the bots aren't going to sit there and troll through to see what I'm wearing.
I wouldn't want to take that chance. I'll be honest.
I kind of do.
Yeah, it's just shit. That might be a good one. Yeah, we haven't done that for a while. That has not been Tony's catchphrase since the tier lists, which
it hasn't been,
we're going to do again on the Blood Angels Commander channel once all the stuff is out again. We're obviously going to go back and redo all the tier lists.
We will.
Yeah,
I'm quite looking forward to doing them. They were quite fun.
On that, this is our 98th video. We're currently sort of workshopping what to do for our 100th video. So if you've got any ideas or thoughts, please post them here in Discord somewhere. Ideas most welcome. So yeah, that'd be nice. It'll be something special. We're just not entirely sure what yet.
We've had some more ideas here. Highland reckons hashtag Snake Plissken. I'd wear that. I'd wear that anyway.
Hot tub
Mike
stream.
suggested we split the tier list across both channels.
You do not want to see us in a hot tub stream. That's a bad idea, mate. No.
We do plan on doing something in the same room eventually,
but not a hot tub stream.
Not a hot tub stream.
I was going to say.
Drinking contest. That's I don't know.
All right,
One
sorry.
of us might die.
It'll
be me. I'll die because John will outdrink us.
All right,
probably one actually. So we did how army list working. We did the autonomy of the new data sheet. We did how tough are Terminators. We did faction rules are leaner and cleaner. That was the one we were just looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we touched on that one.
We've basically touched on everything.
Leaders join squad.
Haphazard all over the bloody place, kind of.
Did we talk about the Lion at all?
We didn't.
Do you want
but
to?
He's not really 10th edition, though, is he? That's stuff.
No, that's 9th ed rules the line. We can talk about it if you want, but it's nothing to do with 10th ed.
That's true. There's nothing
we
to
can talk about Dante.
I mean, we could talk about Dante, but again,
have you both pre-ordered Dante, the new model?
I have, yes.
I have actually.
Yes, you should be here on Saturday, right?
The release day is Saturday. Yeah, some people have been getting him delivered to their local.
The only thing that I haven't been able to get is the goddamn Last Boarding Actions book.
So I've not pre-ordered Dante.
So annoyed about
that. I got given a little bit of cash by my work colleagues. Very grateful for doing so. Thank you very much, guys. So I'm planning on going into local GW store and trying to get a Dante on Saturday morning. And if they got a copy of the book there, Tony, I'll give you a buzz and say, look, do you want it or not?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go visit my local independent bookshop who gets a bit of Warhammer stuff in the hope that they've maybe got a copy, because that's really pissed me off. The only book of the whole set.
Just a standard edition of.
Just a standard edition. Couldn't get one.
Wow.
It was crazy, this pre-order window. I saw on eBay yesterday that the Lion is going for like $310, which is like 5x retail now. Like, what the hell?
The standard edition of the Lion book on eBay is about 80 quid.
God, that's ridiculous.
It's really frustrating because, like I said, I've got all the other ones. I just wanted that to complete the set because I don't care about the rules, to be honest.
No, that's fair.
There's not much in it that I'm that interested in because we're going to play with Dante and I won't get him painted before 10th edition. So I ain't going to use them anyway.
I've enjoyed playing Boarding Action so much that I've been out and bought a set of the terrain.
Yeah.
Have you?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm working on our set of terrain at the moment.
My commission guy is supposed to be working on my set of terrain, but he's watching the stream right now. Yeah. He's supposed to be working on it. He's watching the snooker and the.
He probably is working on it whilst watching the stream. Yeah.
We didn't cover the new Rhino data sheet.
Okay. Go for that. What do you want to cover? It's pretty self-explanatory, really, isn't it?
It's got 2 more points.
The only thing it doesn't have is transport capacity, because that's obviously they snipped that off the data sheet so that they could cover it in the transport thing instead.
Yeah. It self-repairs.
I like it. It's an old
They
rule come
used
back.
to, yeah.
Just rhinos or all vehicles, you think?
Only rhinos. They used to.
That was their thing. It was about how durable they were.
Okay.
Like how easy to fix or something. As the guy
so
inside, just if it stopped working, he would get up, pick up a wrench, and go, "This is how we fix things."
The melee
don't
weapon.
Want to die.
I was going to say the melee weapons got a lot better on the rhino. I mean, that's the main thing about it, right?
3 attacks, weapon skill 4, strength 6. Yeah.
I mean, weapon skill 4 for a vehicle.
They used to like hit on 6s like all the time, didn't they, or something?
Yeah, pretty much. So vehicles have OC2, and they kill things in combat. OC2. Yeah. I think for the other vehicles they just showed the Stormspeeder has OC3. I didn't actually realize that at all. The Gladiator is OC3. The Repulsor is OC5, so I assume a Land Raider has OC5 as well.
Logically, that makes a degree of sense.
So a couple of comments then. Cesario, isn't the wrench punching basically a scene from Battlefield 1?
No, it's seen from Armageddon, the movie by Michael Bay with Bruce Willis.
Oh, right, yeah.
Mike's still watching the snooker. Don't let me know how it ends because I'm going to look at it later. Sellers is going to buy a recast of the Lion just to spite GW. Doesn't even collect Dark Angels.
I mean, recasts are evil, MK. Don't do them, but I understand why you're doing it.
It's just being a dick for the sake of it, and I can definitely get behind that. What else have we got in here? A few suggestions of what we do. A couple of people suggested board games we played.
I mean, a 3 Grots game of Cards Against Humanity could be epic. And
could also almost
so many
get
levels.
me fired.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah.
I didn't realize
that
OC was so high in these things. Okay. Then they're even better than I thought they were.
The giant tank is going to be easier at holding objective in terms of spatial terms. Whether it can actually interact with them is a different question, but they've obviously decided to give it OC5.
Turkey's had a good idea to what to do with this shirt. He says, keep the same image for John here, but just put a lamppost across the middle and write cover save.
Hashtag cover save. Oh, brilliant.
I mean, I'm going to take a cover save from a friggin' you know that you're going to play against someone at the tournament that's like, there's a barrel on the ground there that's obscuring my Land Raider's front tire, so I can take a cover save, and you're going to be like, okay, because, I mean...
Who's going to be the cheesiest with lampposts and cover saves in 10th then, John or Andrew?
It's going to be Andrew. You know it's going to be Andrew. Andrew's going to be like, the repulsor's in front of another repulsor, so you can't see it, so I can get a cover save.
I actually hope that rule comes back, because that used to be the rule of you could obscure things behind your vehicles.
Yes.
And I think it's good, because you can't shoot the man standing behind the repulsor, because the repulsor's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope that rule comes back, getting cover from units and vehicles.
Look at this gorgeous Land Raider Crusader. It's going to be so nice to field Crusaders on the battlefield again.
I'll dust off my 3 remaining Land Raiders. I used to have 4, but now I've only got 3.
Because he gave one to me.
I certainly did.
How generous. Okay.
Well, Tony was whinging a lot about how he'd missed out on a particular Land Raider.
I've still got the hump over that. My lack of 2B. I wanted a 2B.
Well, now you've got
Especially when we got a 2B and it turned out to be a fucking recast.
Now you've got an Achilles, so there you go.
Yeah, so that's everything that has a 10th edition sheet, we've covered it, right?
Looks like
it. I think so. I got it wrong. There were 10 pages, not 9, because the terrain wasn't on the summary page yet. But yeah.
Okay, so you were wrong, and
basically covered everything.
I was closer with my million guess.
I'd like to think that 9 is closer to 10 than a million, but yeah, if you like, you can do that.
It seems like a lot, to be fair.
Yep.
So yeah, then before we end, I guess if there was something that you felt like that's in your pile of shame, or there's something that you think is going to be super important for 10th edition for any of your armies, like what is it?
Zibel's offered in chat, so I'm going to ask this. I've been wanting to ask this all stream and decided not to. How are they handling sub-factions, Zibel Vol? I want to see what you've got to say on this because this is going to be interesting.
He says the repulsor is a menace in 10th.
Well, it wouldn't shock me. Especially the idea when they can, if something charges a unit near it, you can just run away into the repulsor. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I like the return of the assault ramp. Big time, I think.
That definitely is a huge thing for me.
It's good for us, and it's not good for us at the same time. It's irrelevant for units that have got jump packs because they get to move as far as a vehicle moves anyway. But it's great for units like Terminators and Blade Guard that obviously can't move as far as a vehicle can, so they get extra threat range out of the vehicle, which is cool.
I just think those vehicles are going to be so durable, but I guess we'll see. Like AP being down, toughness being right on up.
Hopefully they've struck a balance. If not, I expect that will get tweaked as time goes by.
I hope it doesn't go too tough with too low thing, because it could be a bit slow.
I mean, there's no point when nothing can be killed.
Yeah.
So nothing is invincible.
I'm just thinking of
they don't go that far.
Do you remember right at the beginning of 9th when Death Guard come out and you were like smashing your head against them, trying to kill them?
And how bad what's his face of the wings was.
Oh yeah, Morty.
Mortarian, yeah.
Looking through other comments and stuff like that. Tezab wants to know what the best Land Raider variant is. It's the one. What was it? The Excelsior.
The
Excelsior
Warhammer World.
No, what was the one that had the like 8 las cannons on it, pointing out in all different directions?
Terminus.
It looked like Kit Bass.
Yeah, the Land Raider Terminus.
Yeah, that one, because it was stupid.
That had a stupid amount of las cannons on it. That was great.
I'm sure it was rubbish, but it looks great. Sellers actually isn't buying a recast. I just want to say that they are. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Living Ghost.
It'll be interesting to see how much of that comes true and proves you correct in the long term. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for your answers and your insights. It's been great.
What else have we got going on here? Living Ghost is going to buy a load of Blade Guard. I think a lot of people are buying a load of Blade Guard. Imagine how much of a pain Custodes will be. Yeah, exactly that. They're annoying to play against already. If you up their toughness and don't up any killing, then they could be quite hard work.
You just take anti-infantry melter rifles against them then.
4-up saves.
That's true.
-4 AP?
Still 4-up saves.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets to at the moment, isn't it? It's like you win if you can roll enough 4-ups.
Well, that's just the way of the game, isn't it? It's a nice game when you get right down to it.
It's all everything in the army having a 4-up invuln is the
that turn in boarding actions where I charge my mate's possessed unit and he just rolls a whole load of 5-ups and they shrug off every single attack and bitch me in return. You just can't plan for that. It's tactics.
You can't plan for that.
Nice. Yeah.
It does happen, doesn't it? So I'm on the board with the Blade Guard but then here's the thing that I noticed, and maybe you guys didn't notice this. The Terminator squad, when we looked at its data sheet, it didn't mention combat squads on it anymore. So are combat squads gone?
You're right, it didn't. However, we have already seen that they've removed bits from data sheets with the Rhino one.
It wouldn't surprise me if they had got rid of combat squads just flat from all of it. Because it was a really niche rule.
That only Marines had,
and if they're trying to simplify things, they might just say...
I very, very rarely used it, to be totally fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure I ever used it, to be brutally
honest. I was going to say, so there's
That's a lie. I used it a couple of times. I used it when I had a tiny number of fast attack slots, and I wanted to get a bunch of cheap assault units out of it, so I combat squadded an assault squad.
Yeah, that was my only thing with... I was thinking Blade Guard would be super cool if you could combat squad them. Almost like that Unleash the Lion strat that the Custodes had this edition, where it's like, you've got a Crusader, and you've got 5 3-man squads of Blade Guard in it, and it comes out, and you got one going left, one going north, and just... I thought it would be fucking awesome, but maybe that's...
So the Terminator data sheet nowhere states the number of models in the unit.
No, that's true. It doesn't.
Nowhere on it at all. So there's definitely things missing from the data sheets that we don't know yet.
All right, well, if they keep releasing stuff, like 2 or 3 community posts a week, then I guess the next Grot stream will be us diving into all the shit that they release in 2 weeks' time.
Entirely possible. Well, in 2 weeks' time, it will be after Warhammer Fest. And they've already said there's going to be live stream announcements for all the various game systems at Warhammer Fest. So there's a very strong case to say that in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be here talking about all the Warhammer Fest announcements.
That would be good. That would be. I mean, regardless, we'll be here in 2 weeks' time anyway, right?
On Thursday, the 4th of May.
Absolutely.
May the 4th be with you. Yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
It's either going to be talking about the Warhammer Fest stuff, or I think it's going to be Aeronautica Imperialis is the other thing we've got on the books, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is entirely possible, but we got one more video planned before the 100th, so we got to do something then.
Absolutely. So, anybody's got any more questions for us in the chat? I think we are rounding up here.
Anybody been doing interesting hobby stuff over the last few weeks?
I've been painting Blade Guard.
Painting a lot of Blade Guard.
Have you really?
Yes. I think they're going to be really good. If they can go in like, I don't know, like Rhinos or Terraxes. I think Blade Guard and Terrax might be really cool. I think I've got 8 or 9 Blade Guard ready now. I think I want one more box. That's why I was almost going to buy the Lion just to get the 3 Blade Guard, really. But it seems like I wouldn't have been able to get the Lion because he went out of stock in like 2 seconds.
Unless you pre-ordered it quite quickly.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And on that morning, last Saturday morning, the Games Workshop website was crashing and the Element Games website was timing out. So I was like sat there thinking I'm not going to get anything.
I was at another Cult of painting class.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
How'd it go?
It went very well. It was an airbrushing class.
Okay.
It was very entry level, but to be fair, they advertised it as very entry level, and I went along more support friend. But it was a great class. They're always really good. But I was sitting there while we're sort of like doing the course with like my phone sitting next to me, like, fucking let me buy these things. But I'm really paying attention. I'm not sitting here on my phone. You know, I'm thinking that in my own class when I've got kids on them.
Something Zibelvol has just said about unit size has rung something in my head, which is again how Age of Sigmar do it, and they have their points list of units also includes squad size in that table at the same time, and it tells you how many times you can reinforce that unit. So a unit of 10 spearmen can be reinforced twice, so you can reinforce it to 20 to 30. So a unit, if they mirror that with 40k 10th ed, then they'd say that a unit of 3 aggressors could be reinforced once for 3 to 6, for example. So if they're mirroring a lot of AOS as they seem to be, maybe that's how they've been doing it.
Okay.
And unit size could be part of the points document.
Cool. Yeah, if you've got more questions on Discord, feel free to come across to Discord and ask the questions. We'll do our best to answer them. Of course, we will. Yeah, and you can also leave comments in the video as well.
That's what's helpful. Like it, subscribe it, all the rest of that jazz. Quickly answer Foz. Have you been playing any Blood Bowl 3 or tabletop games of Blood Bowl? I haven't had a lot of time, to be honest, to do any gaming at all. Because I've been babying and watching telly. Because you can baby, like hold a baby, but it's hard to do other things at the same time. So I've just been watching a lot of shit television.
Fair enough. After my initial binge of Blood Bowl around about Christmas sort of time and into January, Blood Bowl's taken sort of a backseat for me for a little while, and I've been doing other things, but I'll get back to it. I still thoroughly enjoy it and still thoroughly love it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I've genuinely, I'm going to do a proper look at it. I've got the Charlie Victor Blood Bowl case.
Oh yeah. You bought one?
I did.
Nice. They're good. They look very good. Thick skull cases are cool.
Yeah, that's the one. So I'm going to take a look at that. I don't think I'll do an unboxing or anything. I think it might not be worth it, but I will take a look at that because it looked like a great case, to be honest, and I do like my Blood Bowl.
Meanwhile, I've got to go and read one of my birthday presents, which is this one, which I'm sure everybody is going to be very happy that I'm learning how to do this. Because it'll be fun times,
right?
For everybody.
So we'll let Mark read his book. Now I can hear someone singing my song.
Is that wah wah wah?
Yeah, I've already decided he's collecting orcs.
Okay.
Because he says wow a lot.
Okay.
At least you won't forget to say wow. Some players do that.
On that note.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for the super chats. We'll catch you in the next one. I really do appreciate it.
See you again in a couple of weeks. Cheers.
Goodbye. Peace.